Hello. So, these are the books that I've been reading. I'm assuming they showed. And let's just do a little update on where I am. This is a very interesting batch of books. So let's see, where should I start? Scythe, Neal Shusterman. I was excited to read this because of Neal Shusterman's writing abilities that I saw in Challenger Deep. Sadly, this is not what I was hoping for. Everything about it, the writing style is very plain and not what I was expecting. Thought it would be way better. Kind of my fault for not liking the actual content, because I don't want to read about people killing people. That does not interest me at all. So I find it very disturbing. And at the same time, it's almost like, this almost seems, I don't know if satire is the word I want to use, but I mean, the picture of death, basically, sitting down at your table and having dinner with you and then borrowing your knife. There's lots of spoilers in this video, by the way. But this is from the first chapter. Borrowing your knife to go kill your neighbor and then returning the knife to you. Like, that to me seems like it should come off as funny, except it wasn't funny at all. And at the same time, I don't think Neal Shusterman meant for it to be funny. If he did, I don't really understand. I don't get this book because I'm just not buying it unless there's some kind of twist, and I know it's a trilogy, so there's a lot of, stuff that's going to be happening. But so, like, the Scythe that we're dealing with, who is like training these two kids, he apparently, so I guess the Scythes can choose whoever they want to kill. And so he has this little system of choosing. And his big rationale for going to a high school and killing their star quarterback is that, a certain percentage of kids die in drunk car accidents. They're driving drunk or whatever. And so since this kid drinks and drives, somehow he should then die. Whereas, okay, so he's basing this on how it was when mortals, roamed the earth. Except, I'm pretty sure in the age of the mortal, people are not living to be 200. So maybe he should go kill those people instead. Maybe there should just be a cap, an age limit on once you reach like 105, then get in line because you're going to have to die. And I don't understand why he had to shock the boy when all he did with the woman in the parking lot, I believe it was give her like basically a cyanide capsule to bite down on. Why are we doing anything that is remotely inhumane, like shocking him to death? Like, so I'm only at page 65. I guess it's page 66. Nope, 67. Chapter 6. I don't like it, and I'm considering DNFing it. I hate starting things that I can't finish, but at the same time, I find this very disturbing. I know what's going to end up happening because I've been spoiled, but I don't know if it just, I'm curious to see why people think it's so good. But everyone who read it, I mean, they read the first 65 pages. Did they like it at that point? So I'm very conflicted, very sad that this is not good. It's just not. It's just not good. I guess it definitely has potential to have interesting messages or something. But I don't get it, and I think it's really quite juvenile. It's juvenile. I don't like it. I don't like it. So we'll see if I stick with it. My curiosity, though, is just it might get the better of me. I can't read it at night. It literally will have to be like the first thing I read, and since I don't like it, I don't want it to be the first thing I read. Okay, so do I want to do... I finished a book yesterday. Yesterday I only got to read Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire because I had a really bad headache, so I couldn't get to the other books. But I finished this, and it was terrible. I was expecting just some kind of profound, amazingly written story. It had a great concept. Kids, they come back, they like visit other worlds through like these doors they find, and the world is made just for them, basically. It's like their perfect world. And then they come back for whatever reason. They want to go back to that world, but they can't find their door anymore. So they get sent to this school. Number one, I'm lost already because I don't think that is realistic. Like, I want my fantasy to be something that I believe. I don't believe this. So, Nancy, the main character, she's asexual. And I kind of didn't care for the way that was handled at all. It was kind of like, it just kept being mentioned, and I was like, but why? Why do you have to keep mentioning it? I guess I should go ahead and say that I'm asexual, so I think I have a tiny bit of, right to say that. And I don't understand most of this book. I did not know it was going to be a murder mystery, so I don't care about, and I found it really morbid, gruesome, and disturbing, how cavalier the kids were about murder. And then they put one of the girls who was killed in acid to melt. Like, the whole thing was disgusting and disturbing, and boring and poorly written. The prose was very plain. The dialogue was very lame. I didn't like any of this except the concept, which was poorly executed. And the end, I got to the last just few paragraphs, and I was like, oh, damn, I don't want to devote any of my tears to this book because I don't like this book, and yet I kept crying, because why wouldn't you cry when Nancy finds her door again? See, it's very emotional, and so I can see why Seanan McGuire wanted to write that. But everything in between, just everything else that she wrote leading up to like the whole point of the book, is just, I have to read these quotes, and these quotes are definitely from this book, like, critics or whatever. Seanan McGuire has long been one of the smartest writers around. We know this story isn't true, but it is truth. Girl Interrupted meets Grimm's Fairy Tales. Let it in, and it will touch your heart and open your mind. No, it was disturbing. I don't want to read stories like this. It's like Scythe. I don't want to read about people being killed. Every Heart a Doorway, I had no idea people were going to be killed and basically dismembered. It was Shauna McGuire once again demonstrates her intimate knowledge of the human heart in a powerful fable of loss, yearning, and damaged children. No, no, sorry, that didn't happen. In fact, at one point on page 144, Eleanor is talking about nonsense, the nonsense world. And she said, my world is a nonsense world with high virtue and moderate rhyme as its crosswise directions. Many of you wouldn't be able to survive there. The lack of logic and reason would destroy you. And I was like, yeah, that's what this book is. It makes no sense. And so I started to theorize, oh my gosh, I think all of these people they're not in the real world. They're actually in a nonsense world, and we've been witnessing what it's like to be in nonsense. And I was like, well, that's really, really interesting. No, that's not what that was at all. So super, super disappointing. I don't think I need to go through any of these tabs really, because I think I just marked things that were annoying. So annoying. There is one tab though, the pink one, that I do want to mention. And what is that? I think that goes with the Night Circus. So I'll come back to that. Let's go to Dark Matter. So I don't know. It's just, I cannot believe, number one, that this is a series. And number two, that people love it so much. I am so confused. Wow. I mean, honestly, the way that book is written, and for the most part, Dark Matter, the way in which these books are written, it makes me believe that literally, if anybody in the world comes up with a story that they can stretch into a novel length, they could write it and get it published. Like, I should have no problem getting my book published if these books can get published. Like, honestly, look at this cover and the title. Every Heart a Doorway. How do you get a cover like that and a title on a premise like that and then waste it? And there was so much, like, parent hate in this book where, oh, parents just don't understand, so then, yeah, you can just leave. You're not even 18. You can just, yeah, you're justified to run away from home and not ever talk to your parents again. And oh, if you happen to find your door, the headmistress, whatever, Eleanor lady, she'll lie and say that you ran away or something. I was like, ew, I don't understand that book. That's a dangerous book, I think. That is sending out the wrong, even if it is like an allegory for like, just if you're like different from your peers in any way and you want to be yourself and you don't want to be ashamed of who you, like Nancy, asexual, there's stereotypes out there about like how asexuals, they just have no feelings, and Nancy, her perfect world is being in the Halls of the Dead, I think it was called, and I should have written it down so I knew the exact, yeah, the Halls of the Dead, and she would just stand there like a statue, and I was like, I would never write an asexual character to like, for a lot of people, this might be the first time they're even hearing about asexuality, and to show them that this character who is asexual just wants to be completely still. She wants to stop her heart from beating. Let me see. She would have thought her lack of sexual desire had been what had drawn her to the underworld. So many people had called her a cold fish and said she was dead inside back when she'd been attending an ordinary high school. Oh yeah, the Lord of the Dead. So Sean and McGuire knows that people called Nancy a cold fish, that she was dead inside. So she decides to send Nancy to a place where she would just be like dead. And I was like, oh my god. Very disappointing to me. Just so, like, everything I saw on Tumblr and Goodreads that talked about this book in a positive way, I cannot believe it. So Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I feel like I'm too low. Oh, wow. Several times I thought, if I was not reading this for my little Read Becky Read challenge that I'm doing, if I was not going to be making a video holding myself accountable, I would have put it down, which was sad to me because the premise was interesting. But finally, on page 121, I had to read 121 pages for it to get interesting. When he finally started talking about quantum mechanics. Took to page 121. Very strange. So he's a quantum physicist, or just a physicist who studies quantum mechanics, and he got switched with a counterpart from a different universe, and so he goes to, so the woman that he's married to, he's not married to in that universe, but he goes to like her opening night of her gallery or something, which was, there are a lot of little connections in these books. They all connect together, so I think that's interesting that I've chosen these books like that. But her gallery installation is called Entanglement. And for Jason, you think there would be some kind of inner dialogue or whatever, talking about, oh my gosh, wow, that's a quantum mechanic thing, quantum entanglement, right? Something like that. I mentioned it in my book, I should freaking know what it's called. But you think he'd be like, oh my god, does that mean that she remembers me or thinks about me, or see, we belong together because we're on the same wavelength, something, nothing. He doesn't mention anything about that, and so I thought that was a wasted opportunity. But that really shows you Blake's writing style. He does not get very deep into things, and it was weird because Jason was being asked questions and his answers were lies, and the reader knows that they're lies, but every time before he said a lie in the narrative, it says, I lie, and then he would lie. And I was like, stop spoon feeding your reader, Blake. It's not necessary, and you look like an amateur. So unnecessary. I found this quote. I like it. We couldn't possibly contend with simultaneously observing all possible realities at once. That's interesting. And it reminded me of Calliope's quote in Challenger Deep, where she's like, I see all possibilities at once. I thought that was interesting. So yeah. So it finally got good, and I'm on page 150, chapter 8. And they just got in the box. It's like, so that was really exciting. And so, I guess I always got confused with what the box would be for. But I suppose, well, in this book anyway, they're saying that it is to, if I understand it right, that it is to completely block out observation, so no one can observe the person in the box. And there's a serum that they are injected with that even makes them, it turns off their sort of observational ability so that they can then see like all the doors. Yeah, interesting. Super interesting. So if Blake can keep up that interesting part, then I think this will be very fun. I am not so much buying. I feel like it's the actual premise of the whole, like, his counterpart came from a different universe because he missed out on being with this woman who clearly wanted to be with him in his universe. All he had to do was just say, hey, I made a mistake. I mean, yeah, would his team have really let him do that, though? It doesn't matter. I just think it's a little easy. I think it's too simplistic of an idea, and that, again, goes to show that perhaps Blake is not thinking more creatively, I suppose. But we'll see. So I'm right here. How much to go? Okay, let me move to the Night Circus. This is a beautifully made book. And it's the most expensive of all these books. It costs $30. $30. Crazy thing is that this costs $30 and it's really, really dense. Every Heart a Doorway is a nothing book and it costs like $19. You could just go around writing nothing books and just so disappointed. So the Night Circus, so it's a beautifully made book. It's so like, I could understand why someone would own this book if they love it so much, but I cannot tell you how much I hate it. It is so heavy. The pages are so stiff. The pages are thick. It's like cardstock. Can't believe it. The words are so tiny. I hate this pattern. I hate the black. It makes me, I have to hold on to it with like a note card because it's disgusting on my fingers. So it's just something, you know, personal preference, I guess. I'm not a fan of the circus at all, so nothing about the circus in this book is grabbing my interest. I don't care about the darn circus. So all this like detail about all this stuff, it's like, you're writing it well, I just don't care. I'm finally at the part where the two like children of the magicians who are part of this contest thing are kind of, actually they haven't really, hopefully, I know that they're gonna fall in love at some point, so it's like, come on now, get to it. There's a kid in this book named Bailey, and he's alive in 1902, in the early 1900s, and so I don't know too much about the circus, but Barnum and Bailey is like a circus, right? And so I don't know if Bailey in this book is like a fictionalized version of the real Bailey, or if it's just the author paying homage to him. So I don't know which it is, but it's definitely, you know, relevant to the circus, so I thought that was nice. What was my pink tag was that. As for the writing, I thought, darn, I'm really disappointed. I thought Every Heart a Doorway, I thought people talked positively about the writing style in that too. I don't know where they're getting that from, if they actually are, but I could have sworn people talk about the writing style of the Night Circus as being lyrical, but it must just be nice prose or something. I find it to be just very plain. There's nothing about it. Now maybe when we get into like the love story part, it could start being more, I guess, flowery. I just want it to be kind of poetic and flat. I guess that's what I like. I liked Stranger Dreamer a lot, and that's my own writing style kind of tends towards that. So I guess I have, you know, a bias in that regard. So as for this pink tab, in every heart or doorway, there's this ridiculous quote, just ridiculous. Nancy's wondering why there are so many girls at the school. Where are all the boys? Why aren't our boys just not affected the way girls are? And so she's like, why are there so many more girls here than boys? And one of like the teacher people says, because boys will be boys is a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're too loud on the whole to be easily misplaced or overlooked. When they disappear from the home, parents send search parties to dredge them out of swamps and drag them away from frog ponds. It's not innate, it's learned, but it protects them from the doors, keeps them safe at home. Call it irony if you like, but we spend so much time waiting for our boys to stray that they never have the opportunity. We notice the silence of men. We depend upon the silence of women. I don't get it. I thought that was just mumbo jumbo baloney. Okay, so that was from page 59. In the Night Circus, Bailey, he wants to be part, I guess, of the circus or something. He's like mesmerized by the circus. And so let's see, page 88. He reads histories and mythologies and fairy tales, wondering why it seems that only girls are ever swept away from their mundane lives on farms by knights or princes or wolves. It strikes him as unfair to not have the same fanciful opportunity himself, and he is not in a position to do any rescuing of his own. I was like, oh, I guess it's because you're a boy, Bailey, huh? Anyway, I thought it was interesting how I read both of those, and I guess they go hand in hand, but I'm not buying it. Because once you're in a door, your parents aren't going to be able to get to you. You have to come out on your own. So I didn't understand what Seanan McGuire was getting at. I don't get it. So, you know, chugging along with the Night Circus. I think the Night Circus has more words on a page than any other book, so it takes me much longer because I'm trying to... Yeah, I only got to page, I think I'm only on like 130 or something. What is this? 121. Damn, not even 130. Yes, that makes sense. 120. So the book that I'm digging the most, The Time Traveler's Wife. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise since I love romance. I'm pretty sure that they make love for the first time in this like meadow when she's still a teenager, and I think it's on her 18th birthday. I don't remember if that actually happened in the movie or not, but I think they kind of alluded to it in the first chapter somewhere. And so all of a sudden we're now like in where they've met up in time, and I was like, when are they gonna have sex for the first? When is she gonna have sex for the first time with him? And so I went through like every page looking for like her when she's like a teenager, and it's not until way over here, which makes sense. That would be, you know, more in the back of the book because you have to, you know, build your anticipation, I guess. I'm not sure. So I was like, darn, I have to wait that long. I very much enjoy this book. I think it's written well. Oh, that's another thing about dark matter. Blake has this very kind of in-your-face writing style that is maybe a bit too blunt for my taste. So that's another thing that I don't care. Like, sentences will just be like, ugh, too forceful. I will start marking them so I can give examples. I just marked some. Oh, it's so funny. Claire was, how old was she? Claire was 12 and Henry was 36. And so in the future, he's already married her and everything. And so he's with her in the meadow and she starts talking about the Beatles and she mentions she has like a crush on Paul McCartney or McCarthy. Oh my God. Ah! And the way she's talking about him, it's so funny because Henry gets jealous. Claire is staring dreamily at the board. They're playing chess. It dawns on me that I am jealous. Jesus, I can't believe I'm feeling jealous of a multimillionaire rock star geezer old enough to be Claire's dad. Oh, I mean, it was kind of awkward when she was so young because it just got awkward. But at the same time, nothing inappropriate happened. So it was just very interesting. Interesting dynamic. Very interesting dynamic. When she was 13 is when she really started realizing that, you know, she's in love with him. And it was so sad when she was thinking that he was married to someone else and that she couldn't actually be with him. Oh my God. Ugh. So good. I love when she was in the meadow and she was alone. And my clothes are soaked in an instant, and I suddenly feel that Henry is there, an incredible need for Henry to be there and to put his hands on me, even while it seems to me that Henry is the ring, and I am alone and wanting him. Oh. Their talk about God was interesting, because I could relate to that. He is not really a believer, and I guess I don't blame him because of the life that he's having to live. She's like, she believes in God. She's like, I want to believe him. And she's like, I don't want to just believe it. I want it to be true. And I was like, yeah, I've been there with that. All in all, oh, I think I'm the furthest in this book. Yeah, I'm page 159. I would have been further if I could have read yesterday. But, on the one hand, I'm really grateful that I've already seen the movie because it makes it easier to follow along with this, like, jumping back and forth kind of thing. But at the same time, I know how it ends. So it's like, okay. It's like, stay calm about that. Okay, so that was a much longer check-in than I meant for it to be. But I don't know if, I think I'll keep toggling between a few of them unless the time traveler's wife just really kind of consumes me. And then I'll have like another check-in maybe with another like full review type of thing. So we'll have to see about that. I hope I don't make this mistake again where I don't pick the best selection of books. I'm going to try not to give up though. I'm going to try and see if Scythe is redeemable. Okay, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.